Hey everybody, this is Mr. Moppin coming at you with another APUSH video. This is our third video on topic 5.9, focusing in on government policies during the Civil War. Today we're going to be taking a look at some critical decisions made by Congress during the Civil War without having any real Southern opposition. We're going to take a look at some of the economic effects as well. So speaking of economics, remember wars are expensive. And having the money to be able to purchase the resources that you need to win the war will be critical in this conflict. So what Lincoln and the Northern Congress is going to do is issue bonds. And remember, a bond is basically loans to the U.S. government by the public, so that the government has additional funds to carry out necessary responsibilities. And since it's a loan, the government promises to pay back the bond with a small amount of interest. We're also going to see the raising of excise taxes on certain goods during this conflict. We're going to see tariffs raised. Now remember, hey, Republicans love a nice high tariff anyway at those times, but this is going to be especially important to fund the war. And given how desperate the situation is financially, we're also going to see Congress approve the first ever income tax in our nation's history. Now note, it's just going to be a temporary tax on the wealthiest of Americans, but it does set a precedent for legitimizing to some degree a national income tax. In addition to changes with taxation, we're also going to be seeing changes with the currency. Lincoln's going to be creating a new national standard for a national currency that is going to be established. In other words, currency previously could have been issued by or was issued by individual banks, but now this is going to be a national currency that is going to be used. We're also going to be seeing the emergence from the federal government of what we call greenback money, money that has value because the government says it has value, not because you could actually turn it in for gold. This was something new, a little bit unprecedented. Today, that's how the system operates today. But at the time, the idea being is that, currency should have value based on, what the government dictates. That is going to be something new. Now, some other things to keep in mind that are going to be kind of moving America in a more modern direction as a result of this war. Think about this, due to the necessity of needing to have, more resources quickly, this is only going to spur innovations in manufacturing technology. And so what this is going to do is, in many respects, it's going to kind of give an even added push in what was already the movement of the northern half of America in an industrial direction. But this is kind of like, taking a shot to the arm to really, really spur what will be after the war, the really great industrial revolution of the late 1800s. Additionally, as we said before, with Republicans now in power with no real Democrat opposition, you're going to see the Morrill Tariff Act be passed, which is a restoration of significant protective tariffs to protect American businesses. We're also going to see the passage of the Morrill Land Grant Act. This is going to be important. This is now going to be the use of federal money to create state colleges and universities. These land grant colleges are going to be primarily tied to agricultural education, mechanical education, things like that. And the lasting effect of the Morrill Land Grant Act is the creation of a lot of your Big Ten and Big 12 conference schools that exist today. Schools like Texas A&M, the University of Nebraska, and a little school called The Ohio State University. And speaking of the Midwest, we're also going to see the passage of the Homestead Act, which is going to allow for those that are willing to move to the Great Plains states, which are still mostly territories, or at least states that have very limited populations in them. This will encourage settlement and cultivation development of that territory by the federal government awarding 160 acres per family to go out there if they promise to stay on the land for at least 3 years to try to farm that territory. So for those that had maybe been struggling financially in the past, the idea of 160 free acres was going to be very, very enticing. Also, once again, without Southern opposition, it's now going to be easy to not just get one transcontinental railroad established, but multiple, including the passage of the Pacific Railway Act. This is going to create a northern transcontinental railroad that's going to be going through, for example, the state of Washington, or the eventual state of Washington. So understand that with this unique set of circumstances, with southern states abandoning Congress, virtually all the Democrats, or the vast majority of Democrats, leaving Congress, this is now going to allow the Republicans to really put in place the platform that those that had been Whigs and Federalists before that, to really put into reality. Now, as the war drags on, don't forget economically that this is going to have a devastating impact on the South. And it's not a big surprise. This is part of why the South was willing to risk everything to maintain the status quo, because as the war now does become a war to end slavery, and as we use strategies like total war implemented by General Sherman, you're going to be seeing the Southern economic system collapse, plantations being destroyed, cotton fields being burned, those limited railroad lines that were in the South now being upended, ports being destroyed. So you're going to see, almost every aspect of the Southern economy under assault, and then eventually collapse. The Confederate currency is going to become worthless by 1865. And so when we talk about, devastation, we're not just talking about devastation in terms of human life that's going to be lost in the American South, but it is also going to be almost near total economic apocalyptic issues that the South is going to be facing. And they're going to have to try to figure out, once the war ends, how do they recover? How do they exist now without a slave-based economy? And of course, also, most importantly, the impact of this war on human lives, and how many lives are going to be lost in this conflict. We will see millions of injured Americans, people that lose arms, lose legs, become paralyzed. Many of these veterans that come back become addicted to opiates because of pain. And that's beyond the nearly 750,000 Americans, Northern and Southern soldiers combined, that will die in this conflict. There is no other conflict in American history. Neither of the world wars come close to the amount of Americans that die in this Civil War. It really will be those that are young of the Civil War era are going to be, in many respects, a devastated generation. Both physically, emotionally, and for many financially. This is going to be by far the most horrific conflict in our nation's history. All right, so we're going to go ahead and leave it there for this video. We'll round out topic 5.9 by taking a look at the tragic end of the Lincoln presidency. We'll take a look at that next time.